Hi, I'm Emily, certified Pokemon fan and aspiring YouTuber. I've had this project that I started a few years ago where I've designed like Pokemon themed like outfits or pieces of clothing. This Sylveon shiny Sylveon is the only one that I've ever actually made, but I thought it might be fun to make some more of them for YouTube, because I've been wanting to do a YouTube channel for a long time. I have no background in fashion whatsoever. I've never really had an interest in it for real life, but I always enjoy like seeing the outfits that characters are wearing, or I've been watching a lot of sewing videos on YouTube of people like doing historically accurate recreations of like Disney princesses outfits or stuff like themed after characters they like from their shows or whatever. So I thought it'd be fun to maybe do a series of Pokemon themed outfits. This first one that I'm going to do is a Zygarde hoodie. It's an idea I thought of last fall, and I've been thinking about it off and on for the past year. So I will be crocheting a Zygarde hoodie. I'm going to be making a whole bunch of little hexagons in green and black, and then I'm going to be sewing them together. I kind of going in without a plan. One of my least favorite things to crochet is granny squares. I don't like sewing them together at the end, which is why I kind of put off making this Zygarde hoodie for a full year. I don't think I'm gonna have a super good time making it, but I do like the idea of the end product, and I think it's something I would love to have and wear sometimes. Yeah, I think Zygarde is a really cool design. I love the all the hexagon cells that make it up. I'm gonna get started on making a whole bunch of hexagons.
I decided to start by making 30 hexagons of each color. I did 10 at a time, just crocheting the hexagons, and then I went back and wove in the ends for each set of 10, and then I moved on to the other color.
I finished my first granny hexagon. I did end up following a pattern with a few minor modifications, so I will link that, but I'm very happy with this. The corners look nice and crisp. It's not just boring old single crochets all the way around. And yeah, so far so good. And it didn't take very long to do this first one. So I'm feeling kind of optimistic about this project, but the actual crocheting part isn't what I'm apprehensive about. It's putting it all together. So I'm gonna get back to work on this. Yeah.
Once I got a few sets in, I started steam blocking my hexagons on this blocking board that I bought for granny squares back before I realized I didn't like making granny squares. I love the steam blocking process with acrylic yarn because you really get to watch the fibers loosen up, and it's just so satisfying to me. So I enjoyed this part of the process quite a bit.
So I finished crocheting 30 hexagons of each color. So I have 60 hexagons total. So I printed off a picture of Zygarde to use as reference. I realized after I started filming this that I hadn't actually looked at Zygarde in a while, so I figured I should probably do that. Anyway, so I forgot about these 5 little things sticking out the back of its little head. I think I'm going to incorporate that into the sleeves. So do like mostly black sleeves with a couple of greens. Got my little reference, and I have a hoodie. So I'm just going to lay this on the ground and kind of place my hexagons on top of it and just see how many more I need to make.
It took a few tries to get the hexagons laid out in a way that worked. I initially tried to start from the top and work my way down, but it was a lot easier to start from the bottom and work my way up. And I ended up placing them more diagonally than I initially planned on. It looked a lot better at diagonals, and everything really came together once I started from the bottom.
All right, so in this bag, I have 144 crocheted hexagons, 70 black, 70 green, and 4 white ones. I'm not sure I'll be using the white ones. I'm going to lay everything out again on my hoodie template to see how things look. I'm going to start crocheting everything together.
I laid everything back out on my hoodie and completely forgot to check the white hexagons to see if I wanted them anywhere before I safety pinned every single piece together and began using slip stitches to crochet all the pieces together. I will remember to look at the white hexagons before it gets too late, and I do end up using them and really like the way it looks, so I'm glad I remembered before too much effort had gone into this. The front panel is all sewn together or crocheted together. I'm really happy with the way it's looking. Ignore all the loose ends. It's a little bumpy, like the seams stick out a bit, but hopefully if I steam block it I can flatten everything up a bit. I'm really glad I did this green line on the black and this black line on the green and white. I'm also really glad that I added the white hexagons at all. Like this one, I think kind of tied it all together. Oh, I guess I didn't sew everything together. Yeah, I decided to put this one in after I'd crocheted all of this, the whole row. So I had to undo all of that, swap the green one I had here out for the white one, and re-crochet it all. I think it's absolutely worth it. Like it looked fine without the white hexagons, but it was kind of boring. And then I decided to add another row of green at the bottom because it just wasn't quite long enough for my liking. The back panel, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I think I don't actually want to make it the same pattern as the front. If I do decide to do the same thing, I will at the very least put the white hexagons in different spots. I think I want the back to be more black than the front. I haven't looked at any reference images of Zygarde's back, and I'm kind of scared to do any Googling because I have not played Legends ZA yet, and I have been trying to avoid spoilers like the plague. So I might just rewatch a few episodes of the anime instead to get Zygarde's back and figure out what I want to do with that. And then I have to do the sleeves and the hood. I think the sleeves are going to be pretty easy to do, but I'm not sure how to do the hood, like how to shape it and everything.
I finished the back panel of the Zygarde hoodie, and I wove in all the ends and steam blocked everything on the front and the back so that it would all lay flatter. So this is what the back panel looks like. And I'm really glad I didn't just copy the front on the back. I'm glad that I looked at the anime and saw what its back actually looks like, because it was a lot more interesting than I realized. So yeah, this green part up here is, you can kind of see it in the front, but I'll show the picture I took on screen. But you can see on this side, it kind of looks like it bleeds around to the back. And then the other side is black. So that's what I did there. And I think it looks really cool. I think I'm also going to start the sleeve up top with a bit of green on that side, so that it kind of adds to that effect. Like kind of mimicking these little green things sticking out here. but then I'm going to turn it to black so that the sleeves can still look like these parts down near the wrist. And also this down here kind of mimics like part of Zygarde's tail. It turns from black to green, and it's got like this kind of cool pattern. Like it's not just straight across color change. So I wanted to mimic that, and I think it looks really cool. I'm really happy with the way this hoodie is looking. My next step will be to sew the front and the back panels together and to figure out where the armholes should start, and then I'll get started on the sleeves.
The sleeves were way more difficult than I thought they were going to be. It turns out that hexagons aren't a great shape for attaching tubes to the front and back panel. I had to add in an extra hexagon to make it kind of puff out a bit. And then when I did that, I attached hexagons the full length of the sleeve, and when I got to the very last row, I realized that just doing that would not make a feasible sleeve shape. It was either too tight, or if I added an extra hexagon in, it flared out way too much. So I had to undo the entire sleeve, which I had crocheted, not just safety pinned, and figure out a way to make it work from scratch. I'm pretty happy with what I came up with. I ended up having like this little gap where I couldn't put a full hexagon, so I filled it in with like a little triangle shape, and it's not very noticeable and I think works very well, and the sleeves ended up being comfortable. And once I had that little triangle shape in, I could just do a few rows of 4 hexagons, and it ended up being like the perfect diameter for the sleeve the whole way down. So yeah, it ended up working out, but it took a lot of time to get to that point. And once I had the first sleeve done, the second sleeve came together a lot faster, but it still took some finagling and trial and error to get all the hexagons in the same spot and the triangle in the same spot on the second sleeve. Anyway, up next was the hood. It was easier than I expected, but still took a few tries to get it right. So I had my other hoodie for reference, but as you can see, I'm not really using it here, but I will end up using it later. So this was my first attempt, and it did not work, and I couldn't figure out how to make hexagons lie in the shape that I wanted it to for a hood. So I ended up taking a break from the hoodie for a few days and thinking about it and trying to come up with a plan. And once I figured out my plan, it came together pretty easily, but it still took a while to get there. So what I did was I found out where the hexagons that would attach to the neckline would be, and then laid them on top of my hood, and I placed each half of my hood on top of the folded hoodie, kind of like I had for the front and back panels, to figure out where it would lay. And I safety pinned them all and used stitch markers to keep track of certain hexagons, and I tried it on several times safety pinned, and then it ended up working out pretty well in the end. Who's that Pokemon? It's Zygarde, 50% form. So after 3 months, I finally finished making this hoodie, and I am so happy with it. Every part of the process was way more enjoyable than I expected it to be, and I am really happy with the final result. My favorite part is the back. I love the splotchiness and asymmetry. Unfortunately, that's the part that I will almost never see because it's on my back. I'm really happy with how everything turned out. My least favorite part about this hoodie is this black strip right here. If I'd known that there was this green splotchiness that wraps around in the back panel before I put the front together, I would have done these two hexagons in green just so that it's all connected. But I already had the front panel all put together by then. That's not a deal breaker, it's a minor pet peeve. And then the other thing is the hood doesn't quite lay the way I wanted it to. Ideally, I would add a little bit more up here, I think, but if I did a full hexagon, it would just fall in my face. I tested it and it didn't work, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. The sleeves are definitely the hardest part. If I just followed the hex grid to try and get the tube shape, it just didn't work. It took a lot of trial and error to figure something out, but I'm really happy with the result. It's comfortable and flexible. The hood took a bit of trial and error as well. After I slept on it for a few nights, the solution came to me and it was pretty easy and straightforward. So the hood was not that big of a deal. I am so happy with this hoodie, and I'm really looking forward to wearing it on my Let's Play videos. As much fun as this project was, I'm not going to be making another patchwork thing like this for a long time. I'm tired. One thing that made this project way more enjoyable was the stuff I was listening to while working on it. So I will be linking some of those in the description. I listened to a lot of Pokemon music remixes by the Zame, GlitchxCity, and Braxton Burks. There's a couple of animations by OpalTheThing and some videos by like Droomish and some other people that made this project a lot less of a chore. So I really wanted to shout them out. I will link some of my favorites of their stuff in the description below, so check them out if you can. I had a lot of fun with this. I have more projects I want to do in the future. Probably not crochet, probably hopefully more sewing. Thanks for watching. Bye!